Vanderbilt is playing Texas this Saturday, and I got some numbers for you. So this game is a high noon Eastern, 11 a.m. local time kickoff. It's on ABC, and I was talking to our friends at FanDuel, and by I mean I had Jesse talk to our friends at FanDuel today, and they took us back to summer. Because sometimes it really, really pays to look back and just remind yourself what you were thinking in the summer and what the general narrative was in the summer. So FanDuel hits us up and says, hey, do you know what the look-ahead number would have been if this game's on a neutral field? Or it's actually being played in Austin, but let's just pretend this thing's on a neutral field. In the summer, what would we have made that number? FanDuel said Texas minus 21.5 would have been the neutral field point spread on these two teams in summer. Today it would be Vanderbilt minus 1. A 3-touchdown movement on a neutral field between these two teams, between then and now. And again, it's not November yet, although it will be November 1st when this game is played. So let's calibrate our mind properly here. Let's not start talking upset. Let's not throw that word around. Let's not use the terms David or Goliath or anything like that. Here's the reality. This is an SEC game being played and a point spread of 2.5 on it. This is no different than Bama, Georgia playing. It's no different than anything else. Historically, yes, it's David Goliath. People always forget who wins that matchup, by the way. But it's not that. This year, it's not that. Texas has just as much challenges and potential hurdles to clear in this game as Vanderbilt does. So, in terms of the playoff picture, just a reminder, Texas is probably not going to be a 9-3 team that gets in. So I think they need to win out. Vandy's only a one-loss team right now. Ironically, they have more paths right now than Texas does. They can afford to lose Saturday and somehow still make the playoff, is what I'm trying to say. So we don't expect Arch Manning to go. We're sitting here doing this on Tuesday night. I don't expect Arch Manning to play in this game Saturday, still in concussion protocol. I think it's Matthew Caldwell's game. He's thrown like 11 passes all year. He was the starter at Troy latter part of last season. Now, he's not a freshman, so he's been around a while. He's a senior. Historically, I have loved teams in this spot. When everyone else is running away because the starting quarterback is out, I'm always running towards those teams. You guys know that about me. I love picking teams, playing backup quarterbacks. I love betting on teams that are playing backup quarterbacks. And because the theory that I have in college football is there is something that happens to a locker room, especially like a high-level bunch of really good athletes in the locker room type place like Texas, where the starting quarterback's out. I think it has a galvanization effect that overrides the loss that you have points-wise by losing the starting quarterback. So everyone knows they got to carry their weight a little bit more, and that more than makes up for how much you lose in the quarterback. Because it's not like you're not going to have a quarterback out there. You'll have your backup out there. It's just how big is the fall off, and then how much of that rope can guys pick up just by doing their job at a higher level. Oftentimes in college, the doing your job at a higher level part more than makes up for how much rope is left slacked by losing your starting quarterback. And that's why you got these results that never make sense all the time in college football where backup quarterbacks win games. Also, if you want to back Texas in this game, remember, their defense got exposed for the first time last week. So I've got a team knowing they got to pick up the slack because the backup quarterback's playing. I got a very prideful defense that thinks it could be the best in the country, and they got some really, really weird-looking numbers hung on them last week in Starkville, Mississippi. So they got to atone for that, and they come home, and the entire organization gets a whole week to prep knowing the backup's playing. This is not sprung on them Friday. So it's going to be on Matthew Caldwell because Vandy is a top 20 run defense. Now, Texas, you could make the argument that Wisner and Baxter combined are getting as healthy as they will have been all year, and maybe Texas is able to run it conventionally better than they have, but I'm not going to assume that. If I get that, it's just a nice added bonus. Texas is 90th running the ball right now. If they get that, that's great. Hey, really quick timeout. We'll get right back to the video. Do me one favor. Make sure you're subscribed. It helps us keep the show free. It helps us keep the lights on. It helps us keep doing college football year-round, and we appreciate it. All right, back to the video. Vandy's obviously going to make them throw to win. Vandy is 70th against the pass. And look, you ran it for 47 yards against Kentucky. You ran it for 72 against Mississippi State. I'm not counting on you winning this game running the ball. If you do, great. Look at Vandy. Diego Pavia, a lot of Heisman talk right now. I don't care about that so much. However, if you do care about it, this is your spot. All due respect, I don't think the voters were paying much attention to what you did against Missouri. They should have been, but that's not how these voters think. These are the same people who vote in the AP, okay? Some of these people still have LSU ranked. So it doesn't really matter all that. It matters what you do Saturday. They'll be watching you Saturday. And they're gonna have to do it with Diego Pavia's arm. Texas's top 5 run defense anyway. They are in the 60s against the pass. And we saw last weekend, we saw Mississippi State moving on them. Vanderbilt, here's the good news. Vandy can hit the cap buster plays. Those are the big 50-plus yard plays. They can hit them, but they've all been explosive runs. So they don't hit them through the air. Texas has not allowed a run of 40-plus yards all season. So if Vandy wins it like they did last week against Missouri, they busted like an 80-yard run. If they do that against Texas, it's not impossible. It'll just be the first time it's happened all season. Pavia has not thrown for 200 yards versus a Power 4 opponent in the last 12 games. So it's pretty obvious how this profiles, how Texas is going to make them try to beat them. Vanderbilt has weaponized the red zone. We watched them do it last week against Missouri. They are 6th in red zone touchdown percentage. Texas is, 80%, I think, Jesse? Yeah, so watch the red zone. I have a high suspicion that our paper popper stat will include red zone efficiency in this game. Texas just doesn't allow teams to get down there all that much. That's the thing about that. They're both in the 100s in penalties, so that's a total wild card in this game. They're both top 40 in takeaways, so penalties, turnovers, red zone efficiency, basically a typical close football game. That's what's going to decide this. Here's what I want to know. As we take a look at what the model thinks, what I want to know is, what did that comeback do for Texas last week? The FanDuel number right now is Texas minus 2.5. Our model has Texas minus 5. So it thinks the number is too low, and that's including Arch Manning being out. What did that comeback do for Texas last week? Because it could do one of two things. It could just delay the inevitable, which is you're just going to lay an egg again eventually, or you learned lessons without having to suffer the consequences of a loss. We talked about the whole Bluegrass miracle with LSU circa 02. Yeah, they win against Kentucky. Miracle, come from behind win. They just got dump trucked the next week. So it just got delayed 1 week. Is that Texas? Did another loss that knocks them out of the playoff just get delayed 1 week? Or do they pull the nose up themselves, end up being a fringe playoff team, and having us look back and say, whoa, we didn't realize it at the time, but that comeback against Mississippi State, that meant the world to Texas. I am going to take Texas to win this game and cover. I have to think in my heart of hearts that my backup quarterback theory has some merit, and I've got to think in my heart of hearts, if there is an ounce of pride, if Texas fight really means something, this is absolutely meant to be put in the hype video. If Texas fight really means something, we'll see it on display Saturday. Sound good? Sounded good. I think so. I don't have a ton of confidence in this game at all. The model does. I don't, because the model was confident in Missouri last weekend. And Missouri, they won the box score, but last I checked, we don't give out any trophy for winning the box score. We just call that a bad luck stat on Sunday. I'll be the guy. I'll take Texas to win it and cover.